Hey guys, Ken Boyd with the Accounting Accidentally website, where you can find over 500 blog posts now. And if you slide down to the middle of the page, you can find over 400 accounting videos, YouTube videos on accounting and finance. So it's mid-June of 21, and we just had the Biden Putin Summit. And I think the summit is a great example to talk about a very difficult topic: business negotiations. So we all heard about the topic of the summit. It affects Eastern Europe, trade, cybersecurity issues, and both sides have strengths and weaknesses. The example I use is economic. The U.S. economy is about $20 trillion, while Russia's is about $1.5 trillion, meaning that the U.S. can afford to spend more on defense, and that's a big bargaining advantage with Russia. If you took a business law class, you might remember that both sides give up something called consideration. They give something up. So if it's a job offer, for example, the employer gives salary and benefits in exchange for the worker's time and effort. And I think you need to understand negotiation, whether you're negotiating an office lease, a salary for an employee, or the biggest of all, selling a business. And I always suggest you get a business broker to help you negotiate selling a business. So here are three tools. The first is the reserve or reservation price, which is the minimum dollar amount that a party is willing to accept. So maybe an owner of a painting says, I'm not willing to accept less than $10,000 for the artwork. Or maybe you're negotiating with a client and you say, I can't do the work for less than $5,000. It's a floor you're not willing to go below. And setting this price and being firm about what you're willing to accept as a minimum positions the value of your product or service. In the last 3 years, I've turned down lots of more work than ever, and it's paid off because I've ended up with clients who want to do business with me and are willing to pay my rate. They're easier to deal with because they value what I do. The second one is small pie bias. Many people in salary negotiations underestimate the size of the bargaining zone or the range. And if you've ever negotiated for a salary, there's always a salary range for most big companies. And the question is it 5,000 or 15,000? And if you bring value, it's probably the higher number. And another mistake I've made for years is that I've always found that people are willing to pay more than I suspect, because if I raise my prices, I rarely get pushback. I rarely get somebody who says, well, I can't pay that rate. So if you're talking with a prospect, they may push back on your rates. But if it's an existing client who values what you do, they probably won't push back and they can accept a higher rate. After all, as consumers, we accept higher prices all the time. So if you're not sure what the bargaining zone is for that office space negotiation or whatever you're negotiating, talk to peers and others in your industry about how they handle negotiations, what they think the price may be, and the more knowledge you gain, the better you can estimate the bargaining zone. And finally, ZOPA, the zone of possible agreement. This is the range within which a deal can be reached. So, buyer and seller of a business, the seller says, I can't accept less than $15 million, but the buyer doesn't want to pay more than $13 million. Maybe the parties can tweak the negotiation and come up with a price range, maybe 14 to 14.5 million. And I always suggest, because there's so much on the line here, that you do ask for an expert. Biden and Putin are surrounded by experts in negotiations and public relations, and I think you should do the same thing. So that's as far as we go on price negotiations. Remember, you can go to the website, join our accounting and finance community that I call Conference Room, and ask me anything on Fridays at noon Central Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.